a slight break. Hi.
How far again?
I did. How you did? What's up?
I'm alright. How's
Okay.
it doing then?
The going is going.
Sunny.
The going is going.
Yeah, you guys present the thing from now, not the other side again.
Months now, caught. Welcome back to Africa This Week. Now, Africa is home to more than 1 billion people, with 6 of the fastest growing economies in the world, and it is largely a mixed bag of the good, the bad, and the uncertain, readily making a place worth talking about and worth reaching out to. Now, talking about reaching out, the British Prime Minister Theresa May recently took a tour of 3 African nations, making her the first British leader to visit South Africa since David Cameron in 2011 and the first to visit Nigeria and Kenya since Margaret Thatcher 30 years ago. Now, joining me to dig deep on Africa this week is Nnaemeka Obioreri, a policy analyst based in Nigeria. Thank you for joining me on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, what are your thoughts on Angela Merkel and Theresa May's recent visit, Mr. Brexit, and what's in it for Africa as a continent?
Africa is a very large market. They are coming to Africa. The visit of Theresa May and Angela Merkel, remember, Angela Merkel first of all went to Ghana before coming to Nigeria, is to explore new frontiers for bilateral trade and investment agreements. Africa ticks the right boxes. Africa is a large market, 1.2 billion people. Nigeria is the largest market in Africa, 193 million in population. We have all the right demographics. 1 out of every 5 black person is a Nigerian. So they are coming to Nigeria is to explore new frontiers. Britain is exiting from Europe. They are trying to fashion new relationship, and Nigeria happens to be the biggest economy in Africa and the right market for them to visit. Now the question is a bilateral agreement, it's a bilateral relationship. How do we as a country, as a people, mutually benefit from this relationship? It's not supposed to be one-sided. Like I rightly pointed out, Nigeria is a very big market, a market that everybody wants to play in. And it will be very, very good as they have approached us, for us to also look at areas that we can mutually, play together for mutual benefit of the 2 countries.
Well, admitting that Nigeria is a good market, there are speculations that Theresa May's Africa's visit is to support new post-Brexit trade deals. Now, can Africa, and indeed Nigeria, be a strategic substitute for EU trade?
Yes. Like I mentioned to you, if you look at the side of our market, I've always said it to anybody who cares to listen. Nigeria ticks the right boxes if we put our acts together. Are there things that we're going to benefit from Britain? Yes. Are there things that Britain will benefit from Nigeria? Very good, yes. We've come to a point where we have to move our market from a market that is commodity-based, a market that is based on exporting raw materials, to a one that we can process even the raw material that we produce. Recently, I pointed out some of the errors in some of the things that we have done in this part of the world. You all heard that the federal government of Nigeria decided to share the Abacha loot, $320 million, 98 billion, to those they classified as the poorest in the society. The other day, the Bank of Industry went about distributing 10,000 naira as trade loan to those at the lower base of the economic pyramid. But you and I know, and to every discerning investor, or to every market expert, to every economic expert, that subsidies, cash transfers have never and will never be able to remove poverty from the land. Over the last 3 years, those at the extreme poverty region has moved from 76 to 87 million. Nigeria has metamorphosed as the poverty capital of the world. But sharing cash and distributing money is not the best way to go in removing those from the poverty trap hole. The only way we can do it is to build our infrastructure. I will give you an example where we can benefit from Britain. I have said it. The only way we can grow this economy is to grow our critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Infrastructure in power, infrastructure in transportation. One of the areas in which Britain leads is in the area of rail transport. I gave an illustration.
Indeed,
Britain,
Nnaemeka. So the question should be, should the British government be giving us cash or helping us to actually build our infrastructure?
the British will only help us build our infrastructure. We have outgrown the era of giving us aid. I wanted to give you an example of what Britain can do for us. The British rail system is one of the most efficient in the whole world.
Yeah.
That was privatized in 1993. Britain has a landmass of 243,000 square kilometers. They have rail coverage of 16,000 kilometers. The most efficient rail service in the whole world. Nigeria can borrow a leaf from Britain. We can seek for technical partnership. We can send a study tour to Britain to find out how they did theirs, to find out how they fashioned and built up their rail infrastructure, and adopt that model, modify it to suit our own climate. I have always said that the idea of the federal government of Nigeria going to borrow $30 billion to do rail infrastructure under a moribund, obsolete 1955 Railway Act, to be managed by a profligate and the corrupt reading public sector will not help us. We should go to Britain, find out how they reform their rail system, model it, ask them for technical aid, privatize our own, and bring in the private sector-led enterprise to see if we can grow our rail infrastructure, grow our marine transport infrastructure, grow our air service infrastructure, grow our power infrastructure. I can tell you, put in place those infrastructure that will make the cost of production in Nigeria to be comparatively in the same sync with those of the other competing economies. Nigeria will grow, and we will empower most of our large population to productive use. Dashing out money and hand out to the poor will only make them more, to grow more in poverty. But providing them with those incentives, putting in place those right infrastructure framework that will drive economic growth, will help us to collectively grow the wealth of this economy and the individuals per capita, and everybody will be very happy.
All right, Nnaemeka, how practical and trade-worthy is this African tour, considering that the three countries she visited, Nigeria, South Africa and Kenya, have a combined GDP of just over $800 billion compared to nearly $15 trillion from the EU 27 markets she could have done business with?
Theresa May, like every other smart leader, identifies clearly the potentials in Nigeria. You know, when I see people, Nigeria with a GDP size of $415 billion has remained an unproductive economy. Looking at our demographics, looking at our size, looking at the abundant natural and human capital that God has endowed this country with, our GDP should be in the level of about 1.5 to 2 trillion dollars. Remember that we have a global infrastructure development master plan, a 30-year master plan that envisaged that we will have an investment of about $3 trillion, now around 15 trillion naira, to be able to grow our infrastructure to the level of the second world that will enable us to grow. What we should be doing now is to look inward. We don't need anybody to give us aid. All we need technical partners. We need to get equipment, to get technical capital from the developed economy to build the huge potentials in this economy. Theresa May knows, and every other person that understands how things work, know that Nigeria is a potential 1.5 to 2 trillion dollar sized economy if we put our acts together. What should bother our leaders and what should be our major concern is on how we can get those technical partnerships, those technical arrangements, with the developed economies that can enable us maximize and tap into the latent potentials within us.
Well, let's hope that they are listening, that what we need is a technical partnership. But just the eve of May's visit, the UK returned £70 million stolen loot to Nigeria. How complicit has the international community been in aiding corruption in Africa?
To be very honest with you, when our leaders decided on their own to transfer, you know, when I hear people say corruption is not the major problem of Nigeria. Corruption is one of the symptomatic manifestations of the root cause of our major problem. The root cause of our major problem is our structural deformities. Go back to 1957 to 1964, when we ran a productive-based economy, when we worked under a constitutional framework that enabled us to competitively produce, tap into some of the best potentials in this country. From 1966, after Agui-Ironsi and Gowon adopted a unitary form of government, what we have been practicing is a beggarly system of government that thrives on rent-seeking. We have not yet, oil-based resources is what is killing us. Nigeria has potentials. Crude oil is a cost to Nigeria. Before the advent of crude oil, we had an economy that was growing at the fastest rate. The economy of the old Eastern Nigeria was known as the fastest growing economy in the whole world. Nigeria controlled 45% of the crude palm oil market in the whole world as at that time. Today, we are nowhere to be found because we are operating under a cost constitutional framework that enables and engenders corruption rather than productivity. The first thing that we must do to get it right is to totally restructure Nigeria. When we talk about restructuring, most people look at it from the political perspective. No, we are talking about the devolution of power, resources, and responsibility to the constituent units. The federal government of Nigeria has no business controlling 52% of our resources. If we go back to the eras of resource control, it will enable people, local government, states to look inward and grow their economic base. Give 30% to the center, 20% to the center, put 30% to the port, and let the state and constituent units control 50% of what they produce. By this way, everybody will look inward. It is no longer going to be a shine economy, a feeding bottle federalism. It's now going to be a productive economy where everybody is helping to bake and not folding your arms to share.
Well, I could detect a subtle restructuring plea there. I didn't know that you would actually hit the nail on the head. Nnaemeka Obioreri, policy analyst, I'd like to thank you for joining me on Africa This Week.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Well, in less than a week, Theresa May visits South Africa, Kenya and Nigeria, while Angela Merkel took a trip to Senegal, Ghana and then Nigeria, following Emmanuel Macron's recent visit to the continent, leaving no one in doubt of an increasingly competitive scramble for Africa. While the solution to the continent's problems largely lie within, there is no better time than now for Africa to trade itself out of poverty with partnerships that will bring about sustainable development and prosperity. That's the show for today, and I have been your guide, Fedishola Shotingwa. Many thanks for watching, and bye for now.